Okay, so I had prepared a comparison video for today, but that footage and a lot of other footage that I took apparently ended up looking like shit. Couldn't have people thinking that they were watching a replay of one of my streams, so I decided to just use some backlogged footage that managed to not be super terrible. And yeah, that's going to be it for today. This is footage that I ended up retaking. It is against very, very low level bots, so obviously keep that in mind. It is the Minigun 8. I ended up retaking that against stronger bots once I worked my bots up to be, stronger. And I also made I recorded a three-way comparison between Minigun 8, Carbine 8, and Arc Torrent 10 and 6. All of that's gone. I couldn't record it again fast enough before the test server closed, so quite honestly, I'm probably not going to retake it at all. Not the comparison anyway. I think in terms of minigun, most people are more concerned with the 12 or any other heavier variants. 8's kind of like no one really cares. I think some notes for this weapon would be, well, first off, interesting to me anyway, is as a minigun type thing, and as a weapon classification that they labeled to be heavy duty, it's, I didn't really expect to see anything under 10 energy for these weapons personally, but that's fine. Anyway, the weapon itself seems okay. It's hard to say exactly what it is, because it's sort of like Graviton Beam in that it's got a lot of damage output and damage potential, but at the same time it requires you to be out in the open taking a lot of damage all the time, and it's just not good. And that's something that you want to avoid, but at the same time you're able to deal a lot of damage, so does the dealing damage outweigh the damage that you're taking? And normally not. That's typically not the case. But I can see certain mechs able to hold this well. The 8s specifically, if I had to pick a light mech for the 8s, I would say Shadow's actually not that bad, because it's able to stay fairly exposed for quite a while and get that damage out. But even still, those are just the 8s. Even though the 8s do deal a lot of damage, and minigun implants are actually kind of crazy. There are 3 legendary implants, so there's a legendary variant of every single implant for minigun, which is completely unheard of up until now, by the way. And yeah, it's an interesting weapon. I like the idea of it, obviously. I was very excited for this thing to come out, and I feel like it could be pretty balanced. I never really wanted it to be some super OP weapon anyway, although to be fair, if it drew attention away from EM rifle, I wouldn't be that disappointed. I am very disappointed in myself for not checking my footage, but I rarely do, because I have a limited amount of time to record everything, and I just assume that it's fine, but I guess it wasn't this time. I changed some settings on my recorder. Hopefully that fixes it, but I'm definitely going to take a look. And it wasn't even the whole thing. It was a minute into it is when it starts getting corrupted, so you wouldn't even know until you actually watched a good chunk of it anyway. But yeah, very irritating. At least it saves me the time of having to edit those 3-way comparisons. I feel really bad saying that, but those things take absolutely forever. I think another thing to keep in mind is that even though this is against, these are against low-level bots, so they're going to be doing very, very well, but against players is going to be completely different than against bots. Something like Graviton Beam works really, really well against bots. In fact, it is probably one of the best bot killing weapons in the entire game. I'm assuming it's going to be similar to that in that you get really, really good damage. Since the bots really don't know what to do with you, then they're just going to die, especially with like the heavier variants anyway. Um, I think that this brings another note is that 8 energy weapons are just inherently weak, right? Everyone up until this point just uses shotgun 8s on every single light mech, uh, quite simply because it had the 25% damage buff. There's literally no other reason for it. It's just because it got the 25% damage buff, and so it performs as a 10 energy weapon should in terms of damage. These minigun 8s have stupidly high damage output, so I think that brings some variety to the table in terms of like 8 energy weapons, which is okay, but again, heavy duty. I expected to see like exclusively heavy weapons, to be honest, but oh well. Although I'm not going to, you know, show the comparison clips, and I'm probably not going to re-record that. I'll do it with like the 12 that we all know is coming out. I'll do it with that because I am a bit more interested in that than I was with the 8s, to be completely honest. There weren't a lot of great weapons for me to compare it to. For the 12, I can at least compare it to like Graviton Beam or something with long range capability, but also, you know, very high damage. And quite obviously, Graviton's going to perform better at longer ranges, but, you know, we both know that those are very high damage weapons, so I just want to see, you know, kind of get an idea where exactly it falls off. And since we all know from my previous comparison that Graviton Beam is very comparable to Arc Torrent, then we can, you know, get a good idea of how Minigun will perform versus Arc Torrent as well, which is, you know, the main high sustained damage weapon. I think that Minigun's going to out-damage everything, but I think based on what I tested and based on what happened there, I can pretty confidently say that Minigun is going to have the highest killing power of any weapon in the entire game. Whether or not that's necessarily, you know, game-breaking or whatever, probably not. Because once again, it is a sustained weapon, and those don't tend to do very well at all. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got. I didn't do a lot of like in-depth testing, and I'm very glad that I didn't, because otherwise it would have been completely wasted, and I wouldn't really be able to do anything with it. I think it's okay, but I would not expect many, if any, people to be dropping their late game weapons for this, particularly not the 8s, but we will see. So yeah, thank you for watching. I will make sure to double check my footage next time before deciding that I'm done recording. And yeah, I will see you all next time.